I need some chest openers tonight because I was hunched over my computer all day. We are going to get started in supported fish. So if you do have two blocks or thicker books, you can create like a T shape where one would go behind your head and the other behind your back. If you don't have blocks or books, you can always use throw pillows, and you can stack them up pretty high just so you can get that opening in your chest. And you'll just come down to your spine, and then you'll want your upper back and head to rest on whatever prop you have. And you can decide how you want your feet to go. So you can either ground your feet into the mat, or you can do Supta Baddha Konasana legs where you put your soles of your feet together, knees out wide. And then to really get that opening while you're laying here, you can goal post your arms. And if you're tight like I am right now, there's no way that your forearms are going to be anywhere near the ground. But as we lay here in our opening, you will see that they will get closer to the ground. So just take a few minutes to settle in. I'm going to actually use the blocks just to get a little bit more of an open. And you can play around with the height of the blocks or books too, if you've got those. But let me start our timer here. So just find a cozy shape. It may take you a couple tries to get into comfortable position. But once you're there, just try to close your eyes. Tune in to how you're feeling right now. Logging into class, might have had a hectic day. Maybe it was the last thing that you wanted to do, or maybe you were really looking forward to it, hopefully. But sometimes the thing that we need the most is one of the harder things to do. And every week leading up to teaching yoga, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta get ready for yoga class and get everything set up. I race around the living room and move stuff around just so I can have space to practice with you guys and make sure that I can send you guys an email and do all that good stuff. And just that prep is a lot. It can be chaotic. But once I log in and start going, it's such a wonderful release. And the benefits of teaching restorative is I get to practice along with you guys and get the benefits out of each of the poses as well. So I really appreciate this time that we spend together every week and appreciate all of you guys so much. So as you're laying here and you're starting to open in your upper body, just see if you can soften into it a little bit. So you might be holding on to some tension in your face, maybe in your upper body. Just see where you can continue to open up and just soften into it a little bit more. And really start to tune into your breath. So Becky, fellow yogi on tonight's class, shared a podcast with me recently that I haven't gotten all the way through yet. Not having a commute anymore has killed my podcast listening game, but the other day I started it when I went for a walk, and then I got a little bit more finished today when I went to go pick up my son. And it's about the stress cycle and how we often will hold on to stress, not because we want to or because we know we are, but because we don't go through the full stress cycle. So we don't fully release whatever it is, that emotion that we're hanging on to with the stress. So even if the stress itself has gone away, so let's say you had a really big project at work or important presentation or something, that might be over, but if you haven't fully gone through the full stress cycle, you might actually still be holding on to that stress. So they were talking on the podcast about different ways to get through the full stress cycle. And, you know, there's things that you would think of, like crying it out, of course, that always feels so good when you can release that, or big belly laughter. So if you like can just hysterically laugh, or even remembering a time that you laughed that hard can really help get you through that stress cycle. A 20-second hug with someone that you love. So, you know, a partner, close friend, or something that you can really just hug them for 20 seconds or more. Physical activity also does it. So getting up for a walk or doing something in your body. But the thing that really made me happy to hear was breathing was one of the main ways to get through. And they talked about how, you know, yoga instructors really focus on breathing, and when you really intentionally slow down your breathing, you can really help yourself reset and get through that stress cycle. And, you know, we work on that every week. And I know sometimes this is the only time that you mindfully are focusing on your breath, but we're getting through stress cycles in our classes, which is so awesome. So if that's not enough to convince you that, you know, paying attention to your breath, slowing down, actually breathing in really big, letting your belly expand all the way out, and then very slowly releasing all your breath out on the exhale until you're fully empty. If that's, you know, not a good enough reminder for you, I hope that throughout class tonight you can try it a few times and really give it a fair shake if you haven't yet, because you can be releasing a lot of pent-up stress that you don't even know that you're carrying around with you. So take a deep breath in. Fill your belly all the way up. Hold it at the top. Exhale, slowly release it all out. Very, very slowly. Try to extend your exhale. Imagine that your belly button is tucking all the way into your spine. Feel yourself get all the way empty. And then we'll try that one more time. Inhale very slowly, letting your belly expand all the way out. Hold at the top. And then when you're ready, very slowly start to release, bringing your belly button all the way to your spine, releasing all your air till empty. Take one more round of breath on your own. So throughout class tonight, I'll be reminding you of your breathing, give you lots of opportunities to practice that, but hopefully you're already starting to feel the shift, feeling that sense of release, feeling that sense of calm, knowing that you're in a safe space when you practice yoga, that anything that I'm calling out for you tonight, any posture or any type of breathing technique, anything like that, this is your class and your time to explore and do what you want to do. So if you spend the next, 50 plus minutes in Shavasana, that's awesome. I'm just here to guide you through. So hopefully you get what you need out of class tonight. And if you want to set any kind of intention for class, if it's just getting through stress cycles, focusing on your breath, letting things go, opening yourself up to new possibilities. If there's another word or phrase that comes to mind that you need tonight, seal that intention with a great big breath in. And a final sigh out, let it go. On your next inhale, slowly start to roll off of your props in either direction just to get them out of the way. And then when you're ready, just roll back onto your spine and release your arms up to a wide V above your head, and then extend your legs long, wide, just into this big pentacle-like shape with your body. And you should feel some expansion that's already happened in your chest area. You should feel more open there, just from that supported fish already. And then bring your knees into your chest, and then slowly start to rock and roll up and down until you can come to a seated position on your mats. And extend your legs out long and remove the fleshy part of your seat off to the side. And this is where you'll want to grab few props. I'm going to grab 2, throw pillows for our seated forward fold. So we're gonna counteract that opening of the fish pose and do a counter pose in our seated forward fold just to help rebalance our body. So when you're ready, inhale, take your arms up, your gaze up, reach, reach, reach to the ceiling. Exhale, start to reach forward towards the front of your space. And if you can reach your toes, great. If you're not there, just let your arms start to hang heavy, draping over your props. And then this is where you might need to reset your props a little bit just to be able to get your forehead or side of your face, if you want to do one side and then the other when we're about halfway through, down on something, just because we're going to be holding this for a few minutes. And if you can release and just imagine that you're releasing into your props on every exhale, you'll get a lot more benefits out of this stretch. So find a shape that feels good to you, that you can try to relax as much as possible. And softly close your eyes when you have found a good position. And forward folds are very calming and they help us reset our parasympathetic nervous system. So just like our breathing helps us reset, forward folds also do the same thing. So in times of stretch or stress, these forward folds really help calm us down. And unlike fish pose, the opening pose that we did in the starter class was a very energizing pose because it's more of a back bendy shape. This pose will just help you relax, calm down, unwind, undo. So as you lay here, in your forward fold, just try to release any tension that you're holding on to and see where you can continue to soften and surrender into this pose. So try not to hold yourself up. Try to just see how much you can just release and allow yourself to use your breath. We're about halfway through. If you want to make any adjustments, if you feel like you're good where you're at, stay there. You need to change the position of your face. So let's say you have the right or left side of your face down. You can switch that out just to get a full spinal twist and stretch on your neck. And once you've made any adjustments, just close your eyes again, settle back in, come back to your breathing, seeing where you can continue to soften. And if you find yourself breathing quickly, just really try to mindfully slow your breath down. You might find that you're breathing in your chest area instead of your belly. So tapping into that, recognizing that you're doing that, seeing if you can mindfully slow that down. And also on your exhales, just imagine that your chest is inching closer to your thighs, so getting closer to a really tight forward fold. Seeing where you can release your low back just a little bit more. Take a deep breath in. Full open mouth, sigh out. Let something go. On your next inhale, very slowly start to make your way out of this pose. You'll want to move your props out of the way. And then just bring your knees in towards your chest, bend your knees, place your feet firmly on the ground. Then bring your palms behind your low back with your fingertips facing your glutes. Just windshield wiper your knees from side to side just to loosen up your low back. And then when you're ready, come to a tabletop position on your mat. And on your next exhale, we're gonna come to child's pose. So toe tips to touch, knees about the width of your mat. And then you'll just sink your torso down towards the ground, bringing your forearms down to the mat. And then you'll want your forehead or side of your face to come down to the mat if possible. So you might need to grab some props here to allow you to do that. But you really want to sink into this child's pose and get the most benefits out of it. So just try to grab onto a prop if you need some assistance to get the floor a little bit closer to your forehead or chest area. And then once you're in your child's pose, try really hard not to fidget. It's so easy to get into a pose, you get relaxed, you try to pay attention to your breath, and then all of a sudden your mind starts to wander, and then you start moving around and you're not really holding the posture as much as you could be. And while you'll still get the benefits out of it, you won't get as many if you continue to fidget and move around. Staying still is really tough, but it allows the fascia, that connective tissue in between our muscles, to really lengthen and open up if you stay still. So use your breath, really try to focus on what you're doing and relaxing into it enough that you don't need to move, just to allow yourself to really get into this and enjoy it for a few minutes. So use your breath here. To feel the opening in your hip area, in your upper back. Try to relax. See if you can anchor your sits bones down towards your heels. And if your mind has started to wander, don't judge it. Just see if you can nudge it back to what you're doing on your mat. It's so natural when we start to focus on our breathing and staying still that the first thing that happens is your mind races and tries to be anywhere but where you're at. And usually it's because we've been racing around all day and we haven't been still enough to even pay attention to what our mind is doing, but just being mindful of the fact that, oh, my mind has wandered and I need to bring myself back to where I am right now. That is mindfulness. And it's not so much about how much time you're spending in the present as much as it is being aware that you might not always be there, and trying to bring yourself back to the present moment whenever you do notice that you've been drifting away is, huge, and something that a lot of people can't do. So even if you can do it for a second, that is amazing. Take a deep breath in. Pull, big breath out. When you're ready, in your next inhale, start to make your way up to a tabletop position. And then ground your left palm into the mat. Inhale, take your right palm up to the sky, take your gaze up. Exhale, bring it through towards your left side for thread the needle. So palm on your right hand will be facing up. You'll bring your right shoulder down to the mat. And you might notice that your left hip instantly went up a lot higher than your right. So just see if you can square your hips so that your hips are square to the ground. And then if you want a little bit more into your shoulders, if you've been sitting behind a computer all day like I have and it's really tight upper back right now, crawl your left fingertips up towards the top of your mat and just ground down into your left palm. And that will help really anchor you to get more into your right shoulder. So just breathe here. You can always come to child's pose legs if being in tabletop is not comfy to you. You can always also use props here. So if you need a pillow underneath your head or need to roll up a blanket underneath your shoulder area, if that's really tight for you, you can do that too. So just again, using your breath, allowing yourself to get as comfortable as you can in this opening shape. And typically I tend to hold a lot of my stress in my hip area, but because I haven't been walking nearly as much as I had been, so throughout this entire pandemic, we've gone on so many more family walks, and I've gone on solo walks more than I have probably ever in a consistent period. And now that the weather has kind of turned, I've noticed that I haven't been getting out there and going on walks as much as I should be, need to be. And so because I'm at home and because my workstation's at home now, for the time being, I seldom get up hardly at all. So I don't even take breaks throughout the day, I've noticed. And it's really starting to impact my posture and overall just well-being. And I've noticed that I've been, having a much rougher week than typical. Typically Mondays are pretty rough. Just getting off of the weekend and trying to get back into the groove of the week. But this week it was Tuesday was equally as hard and I couldn't shake it, and today was hard and I was like, what is going on with me? This is just a really tough week. And I went for a walk after work, after I picked up my son from daycare, and I couldn't believe how much better I felt. And I was like, oh, maybe because I haven't been moving my body at all, I haven't been working out at all. It was just my body just telling me that, hey, you need some movement and you need to get up. So that's what my mindfulness and focus is going to be on moving forward, is just really trying to intentionally move my body throughout the day, trying to take the breaks throughout the day too. And even if it's just to do stretching or whatever, just to get out of my chair, I need to do it. So hopefully this is a good reminder to you guys too, that breaks are necessary, moving your body is necessary, and sometimes really hard yoga poses that really get into undoing a lot of the damage that we do all week are necessary. So breathe through. We are way more than halfway through. So I've got about a minute left in this pose. So just take in what you still need here, using your breath, seeing where you can soften. If you've extended your left palm to the top of your mat, start to slide it back towards your face. And then once it's there, just really ground down again into that left palm and come right back up, raising your right palm onto the sky, and then just take some arm circles in one direction. And then go in the other opposite direction. Just do using that side up. And then when you're ready, we're just gonna swap that out. So you should just ground your right palm to your mat. Inhale, take your left palm up to the sky or gaze up. Exhale, bring it through for thread the needle on your left shoulder, so towards the right hand side. And again, once you get there, your right hip likely is above your left, so just try to ground your hips back down to the mat. And then if you'd like, you can extend your right palm up to the top of your mat just to get into this a little bit more. And just really try to close your eyes and breathe in to this shoulder opener, just allowing yourself to come back to your breath and allow this openness to happen in your body. We're about halfway through, so if you need to adjust, you can definitely do that, but try to stay still if you don't need to move. Come back to your breath. If you've extended your right palm up to the top of your mat, start to slowly slide that back toward your face. And then ground down into your right palm. Inhale, take your left arm up to the sky. And then we'll just do those great big arm circles in one direction. And then just flip it out to the opposite direction. And when you're ready, we are going to do everyone's favorite pose, pigeon pose. Get into our hips, loosen them up a bit because we're going to be focusing a lot on our upper body. So I'm going to do a little bit of lower body now. So bring your right knee in toward your right wrist, and then grab onto your right ankle to try to bring your right shin as parallel as you can to the top of the mat. Never going to be truly parallel, not even the most advanced yogis. So extend your left leg long behind you. Take a peek over your right shoulder just to square your hips down to the ground. Inhale, take your gaze up, and then start to slowly put your pigeon to sleep. And this is where props would be really great. So if you want to grab some pillows to place underneath your chest and forehead so that you can really surrender into the mat and relax here as much as you can, relax in pigeon. Just to really allow that opening to happen in your hip area. You can also place a block or a pillow underneath your right hip to help ease into the opening if it's just a little bit too intense tonight. You guys can always take this on your back. So if you go down to your back, you would just bring your right shin and knee in towards your chest to get that stretch in your right side. But you're laying on your back, so it takes a little bit of the pressure off from the pigeon pose. So find a shape that feels good to you. Again, if you need a prop, grab it. I'm grabbing one right now. And just allow yourself to surrender in a little bit more into this pose. And once you're in as comfortable of a shape as you can get in pigeon, try to close your eyes. Release any tension that you're holding onto in your face. So perhaps you're scrunching up your eyebrows, seeing if you can just release that. Or maybe you're clenching in your jaw and you don't even realize that you're holding tension there. So just try to soften just a little bit. Releasing tension in your upper body if you're holding yourself up because you're refusing to grab onto props. I know some of you are stubborn like I am. So grab props if you need to relax into this a little bit more. And then just find your breathing. So tuning into your breath really helps in difficult postures like pigeon. And I know I talked a lot about how I have a lot of upper body tension, but I still have all the lower body tension in my hip area like I typically do. So that didn't go away. Probably just is more intense. So if you're like me, it doesn't feel so great. Should never be pain, as a reminder. So any of you that feel pain, back off from your back or do something else. But it's probably not gonna feel great either. So again, just try to relax as much as you can in this pose. Allowing whatever opening is gonna open. Releasing anything that you can here. And we're more than halfway through, so just breathe in, breathe out. Try your best not to fidget. I know it's really tough in this one, but you gotta stay still. Try to ground down. Take a deep breath in. Pull, open mouth, sigh out, let something go. Very, very slowly start to make your way out of the side. So it's gonna look different for all of us, and you should take your time getting out. Whew. Once you're out, you can do various things to help bring blood flow back to that side. You can sway your hips from side to side, releasing your low back. You can always do some knee circles in one direction and then the other. Sometimes it feels really good to extend your right leg long, pressing your toes into the mat and then really grounding down to get a full stretch in your right leg. So your calf should feel a really great stretch. You should feel along the whole back side of your leg. It feels really good to get in there. And then on your time when you're ready, we're gonna just swap that out to the other side. So come back to that tabletop shape. And then you'll start to slide your left knee in towards your left wrist, grabbing onto your left ankle to bring it as parallel as you can to the top of your mat. Extend your right leg long behind you. And then before you come down, take a peek over your left shoulder, just bring your hips to the earth. Inhale, take your gaze up, puff your chest up to the sky. Exhale, start to fold forward on this side. So again, grab onto some props if you need. Maybe you don't need any on this side, or maybe you need extra on this side. Just listen to your body, give it what it needs. We're not symmetrical, so each side is going to feel different. And each time you practice on your mat, it's going to feel different depending on what kind of day, week you've had, what you've done for your body or what you haven't. So just really listening to what you need instead of what you think you need will go a long way. And when I first started practicing yoga, I was really stubborn and thought, I don't need props. Props are for people who can't do yoga, and I can definitely do this. It's just stretching. But what I came to find over the years of practicing is that props actually help you get more into poses than you could without them. And your body is in such better alignment when you use props, so that you get more benefits out of the poses. So it's actually a sign of strength to use props, as weird as that sounds. So if you're ever hesitant or just feel like, I don't need it, it's your ego talking, grab onto the props. They certainly do help. And if anything, it just gives you a break. You've been doing a lot throughout your day and your week already, and you can rest. It's okay to rest. So use the props to help you relax into stuff more and rest. That's also a sign of strength as well. And you'll be able to release a lot more, get into stuff deeper so that you can really open up and create that length in your body and that space in your body to be able to make room for the good stuff, the stuff that we all still need so desperately right now. So just breathe in. We're about halfway through, so if you do need to adjust, you certainly can, but try to stay still. Again, this is the one that's the hardest to stay still in. I fidget so much in this pose, and it's mostly because it's really tight in my hips and it's really hard. So for me, this is a good reminder to me to just relax in, using my breath, trying not to fidget. Even, sometimes you can clench onto your fists when you're in certain poses when stuff's hard. So just try to relax your fingers and your hands, releasing tension there. Especially if you're on the computer throughout your workday, you might have a lot tighter hands than you realize. So just try to release and relax them a little bit. Take a deep breath in. Big open mouth, sigh out. Let something go. On your next inhale, just slowly start to come out of this side. Now it's going to feel different than your right side, so take your time if you need. And you may want to sway your hips from side to side in that tabletop position. Notice take knee circles in one direction and the other, just to loosen up that hip area. Then if you want to, you can extend your left leg back behind you, press into your left toes, really stretch into your calf, back side of your leg. And then when you're ready, we're going to come down all the way back down to our spine, but you want some kind of prop nearby because we are going to do supported bridge. So if you have a block or a book, grab that. If you have pillows, grab those. And once you make it down to your spine, you'll grab your prop. And lift your hips up to place the prop underneath your low back or your sacrum area. And you'll know you're in the right spot if you can lift your legs up to the sky without holding on. So you can lift your arms up to the ceiling as well and just bring your legs back down. And again, you might need to adjust slightly. There's different heights on the blocks. You can stack up extra pillows if you want your hips up higher. But you'll ground all four corners of your feet into the mat. Allow your chest to really open up here, so roll your shoulders down your back. And then bring your hands to your belly if you want to really pay attention to your breathing, to do some more of that reset breath cycle. So if you just really need to undo a lot of stress that you might be dealing with lately, it's a good opportunity to really slow down and tune into your breath in this position. If you have been paying attention to your breath and you just want some more grounding for your evening, you can always place your hands on the earth with your palms facing down. So again, up to you on what your comfort level is, what you need tonight. But just the option of having our hips up just gives our body a little bit of a break, because it elevates our heart enough above our head so that your heart doesn't have to pump so hard to get the blood up to your brain, and it just allows us to reset there a little bit. And it also gives us that opportunity to really tune into our breathing and seeing if we're breathing with our belly. So on the inhales, just seeing if you can really puff up your belly as wide as you can. Allowing even just an extra sip of air at the top. Then hold when you're full of air, and then slowly, very, very slowly start to release your air out. On your exhale, imagining that your belly button is, again, reaching your spine, because you're going to empty everything out, allowing all the stale air that you've been holding on to release. Holding at the bottom on the empty. And then starting that over. So inhale, bring your belly out wide. Hold at the top and see if you can get an extra sip of air in. Slowly start to exhale. Until you feel you're all the way empty at the bottom. And then just keep repeating that cycle of breath, trying to really pay attention to lengthening your inhales and your exhales. So sometimes it helps to count out loud, which sounds so funny, but no one's around, so who cares? And just start to count up to 4 or 5. You can hold for that same number, and then you can exhale, and try to keep your exhales the same number or even a few counts longer, just to really slow down your exhale. And then you can always hold at the empty as well, just to really reset that breathing cycle. And just paying attention to your breath like that and slowing that down in itself just really helps relax you, gets you ready for the rest of your evening, allows you to unwind and release whatever happened earlier today. Maybe you had a frustrating day for whatever reason, and this is your opportunity just to really reset that and let it go. You're on your mat right now in yoga class, and you decided to spend this 60 minutes on yourself tonight. So take advantage of this time that you have made, and this space that you have made for yourself to be here, to be fully here, to get the most benefits out of class. Just allowing yourself to really tap into your breathing. Whatever cycle of breath you're currently on, just wrapping that up here. And on your next inhale, just ground firmly into your feet enough so that you can lift your hips to remove whatever prop you've placed underneath your low back, and then slowly bring yourself back down. Then bring your knees in towards your chest and slowly start to rock from side to side just to loosen up your low back. And then we're just going to take a stop in Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined butterfly. So soles of your feet to touch, knees out wide. It might feel good to place blocks or pillows underneath your knees if you need more of a gentle opening here, if you're really tight in your hips still. This is a great one to open up our low backs and to also get a really great stretch in the front and back side of our body. So tune in here, see what you still need. You may want to place your hands on your belly again if you were, starting to get into that breathing cycle and started to notice that you're able to slow your breath down. You can continue that practice here, or if you want, you can always just bring your hands down to your thighs or down to the ground. Whatever feels good to you tonight, you find what you need here. But just allow your knees to get closer to the mat. So on every exhale, just imagine that your knees are grounding down closer to the earth, allowing your low back to really open. So if you've got tight hamstrings like I do, you likely have low back issues, especially if you aren't moving and stretching a lot throughout the day. So just really allow yourself to open here, relaxing any areas of tension that you're holding onto in your body still. So you may notice that your upper back, you're holding on to tension there. See if you can roll your shoulders down your back. And maybe you're softening some of the muscles in your face, or just even your hands again, just seeing if you can release any tension in your palms or your fingers. Grounding down into this pose here. And we're halfway through, so if you need to adjust, please do so. And just close your eyes and really try to pay attention to your breath for the next several minutes. Take a deep breath in. Big open mouth, sigh out, let something go. On your next inhale, slowly close your knees back together like a book. Bring your knees into your chest, and then you just might want to rock from side to side. Maybe you go in circles with your knees in one direction, and then you just switch it out to the other direction. And when you're ready on your time, find your final resting pose, your Shavasana shape. So some of you like to take legs up the wall, so go find your nearest wall and extend your legs up the wall just to get that reset and the ability to fully relax into it. If you want to take traditional Shavasana, you'll just stretch out to a wide V with your lower body, and then bringing your hands either to your belly or palms facing down on the ground next to you. And as you start to settle in here, before we take a few minutes of rest, just really do a full body scan, see where you might be still holding on to any tension. Can you soften into anything just a little bit more, allowing yourself to fully relax here? And once you're done making any adjustments, softly close your eyes. And on your next exhale, just fully relax all parts of your body to enjoy these few minutes of rest. rest in Shavasana as long as you want. The space is yours. If you're feeling cozy, you're focusing on your breathing, or just tuned out, stay where you're at. Tune out the sound of my voice. I'll close out Zoom. But if you're ready to reawaken enough to move on with your evening so you can get to bed, just start to slowly move your fingers and your toes. And then make your way to either side for a brief stop in fetal pose. Taking a moment to rest there, closing your eyes. And then very slowly on your next inhale, start to make your way to a comfortable seated position on your mat. Bring your hands to your heart center, and then just softly close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Full big breath out, just let it go. Breathe in something good, something wonderful that you still need. Breathe out something that you no longer need. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I hope you all sleep well and have a wonderful rest of your week. Namaste.